you'll be able to find links for these videos actually, and you will also be able to find all of the lovely blogs that I have written also for this blog. I just thought of something. Hello everyone, thanks so much for tuning into my channel this week. I know I've been gone for a long time, but as usual, life had the stomach flu. It was the worst stomach flu ever. Park testing hit, spring break hit, all kinds of things hit. And even though I had this blog written, I didn't actually have an opportunity to record a video for it. So now here is the video. Now, before I move any further, you know exactly what I'm going to do because I do this all the time. What I would like for you to do is to please make sure you click like if you like this video, and to subscribe to my channel. If you have not already subscribed to my channel, please do that. Please click the little arrow, and if you have not already done so, please be sure to bell me so that you get updates every time I post new content. If you like this video and you want to check out the blog, or you want to check out any other blog that I've written, you can also find that on my website at www.shikahenley.com. Again, that is www.shikahenley.com. So I'm just going to go ahead and move on so we can just jump right into this week's topic. So this week's topic actually poses the debate of, are you dealing with teacher burnout, or are you just really, it's time for you to just get a new job? I decided to write this particular blog because around this time, that's when people are really looking for new jobs, they're looking for new positions. I'm going to a job fair on Saturday. I'll be on the other side of the table, but I'll be at a job fair on Saturday. And I just know that this is something that people are really looking for. This is content that people are really looking for. And oftentimes we'll be burnt out and we'll find a new job thinking that that helps it, but that isn't really how that works. So it's really important before you get that resume updated and you're already there looking for a new position, that you really try to figure out, am I burned out, or is it time for a new job? Because one thing I'm going to say continuously throughout this particular video is, a new job is a band-aid on burnout, but it doesn't fix it. If you're burned out, you really need to address the burnout itself, because it's just going to follow you from position to position. So just stay tuned. I'm going to start talking about some of the things, some of the symptoms of burnout. Okay, number one. You find yourself just generally unhappy. You know, when you wake up, you're unhappy, you're dreading to go to work, and not like a case of the Mondays, but you're really dreading going to work. When you have to go into the building, it's a heavy feeling. You might find yourself kind of sitting in your car before you go into the building, but there's just a general sense of dread and doom and unhappiness when you really start thinking about just the concept of going to work or going into the building. Number two, you struggle to interact with your colleagues or with students. So you may find that you just want to go to work, do your job, and go home. You don't want to go to any staff outings or staff events. You really don't want to participate in any extracurricular activities. So if kids are inviting you to games, you're just like, I don't really want to deal with that. I just want to come here, do what I need to do, and I need to go. That also tends to be a big signal of, I'm feeling kind of burnt out, and I need to separate myself from work. Number three, you take one too many mental health days. Now, everybody takes a mental health day because, again, life. Like sometimes there's so many things going on, so many things happening, that you just kind of have to take a day to kind of recoup. People do that all the time. It's not something that is shocking, but you kind of find that you've gone through all of your sick days. You don't really have any days left. You find that, oh my goodness, we are in April and I have one day left. We're in April, I'm done. You know, as they would say with CPS, you're taking 0 days, which means you just aren't getting paid for any days at all. But if you find that you're constantly finding some reason to call off work, you may find that you're probably a little burnt out just overall. Number four, you find yourself self-medicating. And so there's like always this joke about teachers, like, oh my goodness, teachers at an open bar, be careful. But you kind of notice that one glass of wine is shifted into 3 glasses of wine or 4 glasses of wine, or you're doing other things to medicate. Like I, for example, am just a shopper. So I may find that I'm buying a bit more makeup than usual, or buying a couple of extra pairs of shoes. But those are things to just make you feel better temporarily. So you're just really trying to medicate everything that you're feeling because you don't really know how to escape those feelings, that is also a sign that you might be a little burnt out. And number 5, you find yourself sleeping more often than not, or you find that you can't sleep. So you may wake up, go to work, come right in and just go right to sleep. You're taking naps. Or you might find that you are really anxious and you can't get to sleep at all and you're up and it's 2 or 3 in the morning and you're doing all kinds of things. But you notice that sleeping pattern is a little off. Oftentimes our sleeping pattern is a really huge indicator into things that are going on with us emotionally, or things that are going on with our health. And so when your sleep is really being negatively impacted, you may want to step back and say, okay, I may be a little burnt out. Now, I know you're wondering, okay, if I am burnt out, what should I do? If I find a new job, this will fix it. And I'm honestly saying this is a thing, as from experience, because I have been in education for 14 years and I've definitely hit that point of burnout. Most teachers do hit that point of burnout. If finding a new job does not band-aid burnout, it doesn't cure burnout. It band-aids burnout. You're just like, oh, I'm really burnt out. This new position is really going to reinvigorate me. But you'll find in November, December, you're back in the same position that you were before. So it's really important to figure out, how am I going to cope with all of these feelings that I'm having? Because burnout really tends to be more of an emotional thing, rather than this particular space is really negatively impacting me. I wouldn't be burnt out if I was in another space. So these are just a few things to consider when you want to figure out how to cope with burnout itself. So number 1, really self-reflect and find your true role and purpose in education. And if you aren't in education, it's something else. What is your true role and your true purpose? And that was something that I definitely had to do. I had to think about, what exactly is it that I want to do? What I want out of education? How do I affect change? What's going to make me feel full at the end of the day? Because if this particular thing isn't really making me feel full, that's okay. There could be another thing that makes me feel full as well. And I'll actually use this as a time to plug that I did do a guest blog on Teacher Guilt, which kind of talks about me overcoming that journey itself. That is actually posted on Black Girls Teach their website. So that website will actually pop up below, www.blackgirlsteach.com. Check the blog section, you'll be able to find it. But like I said, it's really trying to figure out your role. Why am I here? What am I really doing? Because once you find that sense of purpose, then it reinvigorates you and you feel like you can move forward and you can be productive once again. Number 2, create a plan for yourself. So often people do not create plans for themselves. People feel pigeonholed and they feel that they're stuck. If you're burnt out, it may be because you just don't know what your exit strategy is. So if you want to be an administrator, what are you going to do to be an administrator? If you want to go into human resources, what are you going to do to get to human resources? But you really need to start planning. What is my plan? What's going to help me to reinvigorate myself and give me more purpose? Number 3, it really might be time for a new career, and that's okay too. People decide in their 30s and their 40s that they want to start over all of the time. That's perfectly okay if you realize you didn't like something as much as you thought you did, and it's time to just start over and start fresh. And if you're anxious about that, just see the previous tip I gave you. What's your plan? Create a plan so that you can transition into something that'll make you feel happy, that'll make you feel full again. And number 4, if it really is something that's really, really bothering you and you can't really see an end at all to these feelings, then you may want to seek out professional counseling. There's nothing wrong with seeking out professional counseling if you really feel like you're very depressed and you're in a rut and you just don't know how to get out of it. Professional counselors are able to give you advice and to really see things in a way that you can't see them, and they can offer advice to you with no judgment based on anything else. So sometimes that might just be what you need to do in order to get out of that rut, and to just stop feeling that burnout. Now, in the longest video ever, I'm realizing this is a super long video, but now you're wondering, okay, is it time for me to just get a new job? How do I know if it's time for me to get a new job? So I'm going to give you a few things to think about if it's just time for you to get a new job, as opposed to just feeling burnt out. Number 1, it's time for a new job if you have a different philosophy than your building or than your company. So if you really believe strongly that all schools should really just deal with Maslow's humanism. Everybody knows that's my favorite. But you're at a school that just does not believe in that, and you find that it's difficult to implement policies because you don't philosophically agree, then it's time to go. Find a place where you philosophically agree with what's going on and you really feel like you can pour into that culture of that building. Number two is such a big one for me. You find that you are stagnant, and so many times people are stagnant and they just don't know what to do. If you are stagnant, that means that you are not being offered any professional development at all. You aren't being offered to go visit another school or to go just do a professional development workshop somewhere. You aren't being offered different roles within your building. Perhaps you want to lead a club or you want to be a department chair or whatever it is. If you find that you just don't have any there's no upward movement at all, then it's time to find a new job, because unless you're content in just kind of being where you are without any growth opportunities, it's really crucial that just as a professional you find those outlets so that you have growth opportunities. And number three happens so much in schools, but you find that you're just in the wrong role. So maybe you were hired to teach kindergarten, but now you're teaching 8th grade. Maybe you were hired to teach biology and now you are teaching gym. So if you are in the wrong role, like I did not expect this, then it's probably time for a new position. Instead of trying to just kind of push through, because anybody who's a teacher understands there's a huge difference between kindergarten and 8th grade, kindergarten and 3rd grade even, right? So you know exactly what you want to do, what your niche is. You need to make sure that you're within that niche. So if you are doing something and you're in the wrong role, you know there's no way you're going to be able to move out of that role, then yeah, it's time to look for a new position. So I feel like this was the longest vlog ever, and I feel like this is the longest video ever. But I think that's a really important topic because oftentimes we confuse burnout with just needing a new job. So I'm just gonna do like a quick rundown of burnout versus time for a new job. And I hope that you find all of these things helpful. So just give me a second, I'm gonna flip here. Okay. Trusty iPad. So burnout. So number one, you find yourself just really unhappy and you can't really figure out how to become happy again. You're always unhappy. You're miserable at work. Number two, you struggle to just connect with colleagues or students. You don't really want to be social anymore. Number three, you take way too many mental health days. Like, one mental health day here or there is kind of expected. But if you've taken all of your days just as mental health days, you're faking illnesses or coming up with symptoms, then that might be an issue. Number four, you find yourself self-medicating to just make yourself feel better for the time being. Number five, you find yourself sleeping more, or you find that you aren't sleeping enough, because usually our sleeping patterns really are indicative of just all kinds of things going on in our bodies. Now, if it's time for a new job, these are some things that you really want to consider. Now, these are things that mean move on. Number one, you need to, if you have differing philosophical views from your administration or your boss or your managers, then it's probably time to go. Number two, if you just find that you're stagnant and there's no way for you to move, then it's probably time to move on to something else. And number three, if you're just in the wrong role altogether, it is not for you, then that means it's probably time to move on into something else. I hope that you found this video helpful. I know it was really long, but I had so many things to say. And if you have definitely found yourself in a position where you're just like, hey, it's time for me to find a new job, I've definitely have some videos about just writing, just interviewing and your teaching portfolios, all those things. Those will definitely pop up in this video. I'm never sure which side, but it'll pop up. And if you are kind of really dealing with that burnout and that teacher guilt, then you can also check out the blog that I wrote as a guest blogger about teacher guilt itself at www.blackgirlsteach.com under their blogging section. Thank you so much for tuning in. Again, you know what I'm gonna do. If you like this super long video, please be sure to click like. If you love my channel, please be sure to subscribe. And if you haven't, bell me already so that you can go ahead and get these updates every time there's a new video posted. If you have not visited my website, I don't know what you're waiting for. Please visit my website at www.shikahenley.com. There's lots of good stuff there. If you're interested in contacting me, if you would like for me to work with your school, that's how you can find me. I hope that you enjoyed this video. I hope you had a great spring break. If you're on spring break, I'm jealous of you. I hope you have a great time, and I will see you next time.